Well, good morning. Welcome to Northern Maine Productions. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm going to be continuing on here with midget miniature Christmas lighting. These are kind of the vintage kind. I got a couple different styles here that I'm going to show. First, I've got something here that is kind of neat to look at. I found these upstairs last night and I thought I would take them and show them. I believe these are probably imported from Italy, probably. They're very cheaply constructed lights. These are probably 1940s or 50s C6 lights. These were very cheap, 25 cents for a set of 8 of these bulbs. I've still got the old cardboard insert in there. There's no doubt that these were imported lights and they're not up to United States standards even back then, because they have very, very thin wiring on them. I took one of these sets out one time. I have 2 of these sets of lights here. There's the other one. But the issue with these is they're very short. And I mean very short. There's maybe only a couple of inches of wire between each socket. They'd probably be alright for decorating one of them little tabletop bottle trees or whatever, but bottle brush tree or whatever they called them. The paint's not super great on these. The paint's chipping and falling off. I did just plug this set in and it does actually still work, but you know, this was typical of imported stuff from back in the day. It was very cheaply constructed. And these wires are, that's why I don't want to take the plug back out of here, because them wires are super, super stiff on this set of lights, and it's hard to get them all back in the box. So, you know, typically back then, the imported lights were very, very cheaply constructed. And early miniature lights like these even were pretty crappily just constructed too. Oftentimes they didn't even have a replaceable bulb in them. Sometimes you had to actually pull the wires out, and the bulb leads were actually soldered to the wires and wrapped up in God tape or who knows what in there. But they didn't meet UL standards for sure. This set of lights here was a pretty common set of lights in the 1970s. This set probably dates from about 1977 or so. This was a Renown branded set. It's 50 lights. It's a 3-way flashing set. And I love the look of these things when they're all working. I love the look of these. This has got those old Noel standard. This was before UL really took over in the United States on this stuff. So I believe these were imported too. These are probably from Taiwan or Japan, but probably Taiwan. But I love the look of these Badmitten style reflectors. They look really good. They're beautiful when they're lit. The issue is these things, the way they're designed, the bulb doesn't have any support. It's not actually down into the base very well, and the friggin' lead-in wires are always broke off on the bulbs in these. And this set here apparently has an issue with the contacts in the bulb contacts getting oxidized, because every year when I bring these out, I gotta fight with them to get them to work. You have to pull each bulb out and finagle the wires around and keep pushing the bulbs in and out, and eventually you'll get them, it'll arc its way through the oxidation, and then they're lit, and they typically stay lit as long as you stay using them. So I just went through that with these here. I haven't used these lights now for a couple of years, because not only are they problematic with the oxidation issue and the bulb lead-ins breaking off, but they're extremely hard on light bulbs too. This set of lights uses 6 volt. Probably originally they were probably, I'm looking at this chart here on Joseph Pelletieri's ulelights.com, and he's got a lot of information here on miniature light bulbs. So probably this set originally had 6 volt 120 milliamp light bulbs in it. They were 3/4 watt, and they were designed for 20 light sets, or 35 to 40 light 2-way flashers, 50-way 3-way flashers, which this one is, an 80 light 4-way flasher, which I've never seen before, or 100-way 5-way, 100 bulb 5-way flashers. Now these 6 volt 120 milliamp bulbs are obsolete, and they've been obsolete for probably a long time. The other thing that this set of lights is broken up into 3 different sections. 2 of them are 17 bulbs each, and 1 of them is 16 bulbs, for a total of 50 bulbs. Well, to be quite honest with you, this set would have been better off with 7 volt 120 milliamp bulbs in them. It would have been considered a long life version in a 20 light set, but a 7 volt bulb would have been ideal in this set probably, because when you're going to see when I turn these on, they burn extremely bright. These do flash still. I've got my dimmer on. Actually, I'm just going to take them right off that dimmer and plug them right in. So it doesn't take too long for these to start flashing, because as you can tell, they are extremely bright. But gosh, look at them now. They're really pretty to look at them. I like these a lot. Hopefully they all come back on here again. Yes. Flashers are just getting warmed up. Yeah, these are quite nice to look at them. But I've used this set many different times over the years. As you can tell, the reflectors have been broken and crashed, and some of them are still broken, and some of them are clear reflectors with colored bulbs. There's even I saw at least 1 different style reflector here. So yeah, I've fought with these every year when I use them. I fight with them. So I don't really use them that much anymore. But they are neat looking. My mother had some of these lights like this when I was a little kid that had the Badmitten style reflectors on them, and I remember I really liked them, and after they burned out, she couldn't find any more, because at some point in time the Noel standard was deemed obsolete, and they had to come out with a way to support the bulbs better in these things. So because these actually don't have a pull-off reflector. The reflector itself is actually the base of the bulb. So, and I have many different kinds of these you know, I got a bag full of these Badmitten reflectors, and they're not all the same. They look the same until you go put them in the socket. Some of them just fall right in, fall right out. The diameter of them is a little different from manufacturer to manufacturer, so that's probably why this set has multiple different styles of reflectors on it, because I was trying to find the ones that fit the best. I got tired of the bulbs falling out of it. But anyways, I'm going to shut these off, and we're going to clear these off of here. So we don't need it. I've got another couple of interesting sets here too. These were brand new in the box when I got these. These are Yule Glow 20 light Polystar crystal reflector set. These, based on what I'm seeing for a date on here, this is a low energy user according to this label on here. This set can be used for 15 hours for less than 1 cent, based on 3.8 cents average kilowatt cost, Edison Electric Company, January 1978. So I would date these probably to 1979. These do have the styrofoam insert in the box, and this set has got these have got interesting looking bulbs in them. These have got bicolor light bulbs in them. There's 3 variations of them. You got blue with pink, green and yellow, and red and yellow. They look pretty good when you light them up. So that's one box, and here's I have one set out, so we could actually get a good view of them. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I like the looks of these lights. They look quite nice. As you can see, they look fairly good. There's the pink and blue version. There's the flasher bulb. There's the green and yellow, and the red and yellow. And I'll pull this covers off these so you can actually see these. Let's shut them off here for a minute. You can see that the bulb is half red, half amber. And it's the same way for all of them. Now these are loop construction lights. And these have got a wedge style base on them. So this would take the same 6-volt light bulb as the old GE Merry Midgets, or even those other ones over there. Now this is a 20 light set. Of course, this for 1979, these things were vastly obsolete and outdated. Obviously a very cheap set of lights. They're loop construction, and the bulbs are extremely close together in this set of lights. And I don't know if you guys can notice this on the camera or not, but there is a great deal of variation between the light bulbs, between the different bulbs in this set. And I've never changed any of these bulbs, I don't believe. But, you know, like this one here is really dim, and then some of them are brighter than others. And you can tell that there's a great deal of difference in the amount of, in the amperage or the wattage. There's a lot of variation in the manufacturing process of these bulbs, because if you can see here, you'll see that one lights up a lot faster than the other. That tells me that this one here, this green and yellow bulb, is drawing more amperage than this one is. and when you get fluctuations in the bulbs like that, guess what? It leads to short bulb life. And that was the part. I had this string of lights in one of my windows several years ago, and in the run of about 3 weeks time I went through every spare bulb that was in this set, in these two sets. Forever had burned out light bulbs in these strings, and they were brand new. They got less than 1 season's worth of use on them. So, to put it quite bluntly, I thought these things sucked as far as that went. They're very cheap. I'm trying to think, where were these made? These were made in Taiwan expressly for ACLA Incorporated, Boston, Massachusetts. So the ACLA is the American Christmas Light Association. So yeah, these came from Taiwan. That explains it. And it's kind of too bad. I mean, I'm sure if I wanted to, I could get some modern light bulbs, just a solid color light bulb, and rebulb these things, and probably they'd last for years and years and years. But it's aggravating. Even back in the 70s, there was problems like this with quality. But, and I'll tell you what, this type, the way these are made, these actually fit on me fairly tight. This set differs from, I think by 1979 or 80, the Noel standard had gone away, and they had went to these, which were supposedly better. But I'm going to tell you something right now, from the voice of experience. If that thing falls off on the floor and you step on it, holy cow, don't that hurt. Them things are sharp. And I'm pretty sure that probably my blood's on at least one of them somewhere. So, yeah, this was an interesting take. I mean, bicolor bulbs are very rare. I wish you could still find them, but, that makes these lights quite rare to me. It's just too bad that they suck so bad. But these strings are, compared to the Merry Midget strings, these strings are quite short too. There's not much space in between the bulbs. The Merry Midget bulbs had a lot more space in them. But so, just for comparison here, those old lights, these old C6s, were 25 cents marked on the box. This set, in 1979-80 time frame, $5 for these. That's fairly expensive for back in those days. And they're just a cheap light. By 1979 or 80, almost all the light manufacturers back then were building these straight line construction, and typically 35 and 50 light strings were a lot more common than 20 light strings, for sure. I'll tell you something else that's aggravating. You got these reflectors on here, the way that they're made. You get these things tangled up, you might just as well pull the reflectors off and I'm trying to get them untangled, because holy cow, is they impossible. They cling right to one another, something wicked. But anyways, I thought I would take a few minutes and show these. I don't really have very many miniature light sets. I'm not gonna lie, miniature lights are not my favorite light at all. I mean, I collected these mainly because they were cheap to buy, and readily available right there. I mean, I just push the buy button. Actually, I think that first string that I showed you, the 3-way flashing set, may have come from a friend of mine in Holton had those. I think those came with a lot of stuff that I bought. I also have a Renown, one of those really blingy 3-way flashing tree toppers. There's a video of it, I think, on my YouTube channel. But anyways, I just thought I'd show you some of these kind of neat, obscure old lights. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll talk to you guys all later on. Bye bye.